Back with Cocktails with the Queens. Now our next guests are here to discuss the trials and tribulations they've gone through in their relationship and their new book, where they talk about how they rekindle their love. Please welcome DJ Envy and his wife, Gia Casey. How y'all doing today?
Hey. How are you?
Good. Thank you for being with us. I mean, y'all have an interesting story. We see y'all all the time, and I'm glad we get to talk to both of y'all. But out the gate, this is a Mother's Day themed show. Again, how do you plan on celebrating Mother's Day, and what do you hope that Envy does for you?
Well, I actually can't answer that because Mother's Day is always a surprise from.
So,
truthfully, just a day spent with them would be ideal. It doesn't matter what we're doing. So they never fail. They never fail.
Very nice. Well, DJ Envy and Gia, let's just jump right into it. You've been together for 27 years.
woo!
Wow, for 20 years and have 6 beautiful children together.
Wow.
That's amazing. That's like 3 Hollywood weddings, like marriages. That's super long.
And she's sitting there looking like she ain't had but one.
Right.
I'm like 6.
I'm like, why do I look more haggard than her? And all I got is 2 cats. That's what I want to know. Okay. So I need to know, what inspired you to write your book, Real Life, Real Love, Life Lessons on Joy, Pain, and the Magic That Holds Us Together? And has that been therapeutic for y'all's relationship?
Like you said, we've been together 27 years. So I always say, especially for fellas, we can talk about our favorite basketball player. We could talk about our favorite music. We could talk about anything, but we can't talk about relationships, right? If something's going on in my relationship, my wife is bugging me, or I did something wrong, how can I talk to somebody and ask for advice and not feel funny? Like, for instance, it was all over the internet. For the first 10 years of our relationship together, my wife admitted that she was faking her orgasm. Now, how can I go to one of my friends and ask them that? They would laugh. But I wanted to be clear right in this book where we can open these things up and really have real conversations where, we can talk about insecurities and being controlling and some of the things that men do, or even women do, that we can have an open conversation and just start having an open dialogue.
Well, we'll definitely ask you about that later on this interview. We're going to circle back on to that later on this interview. But good, I'm sorry.
I want to ask Gia that, in the book, as DJ Envy said, he said, you guys talk about a lot of things. And one of the things was infidelity. How was that for you to, open up that wound again, to talk about infidelity?
To be honest with you, I don't look at it as a wound any longer.
Okay.
I went through the thorough process of forgiveness. I learned how to forgive after he did the work, and it was a lot of work to back my trust, my grace. But after he did, and we both had our own individual and collective journey with God and spirituality, I learned and was able to execute a process of forgiveness that has benefited me, him, our entire family.
So you felt like the relationship, after you all addressed it, grew from that point? Because a lot of people sweep things up underneath the rug, you know what I mean? And then things happen again. And then, it gets bigger because we have a tendency as women to look the other way and, not address it. Do you felt that helped your relationship to grow?
The fact that it wasn't swept underneath the rug?
Yes.
Well, that is not part of my personality.
I know that's right.
I would never sweep anything under the rug. If he speaks to me crazy, it's a whole issue. If he's impatient or short or quick, or if he yeses me, it's an issue. I don't let much, if anything, slide. And if I do let something slide, it's because I know that he works very hard and sometimes he's tired. But something that has the magnitude of infidelity, I would never sweep it under the rug. So once I found out, it was addressed, and went through a very long process of ups, downs, again, spirituality. It led to forgiveness, and we're in a place that I never knew could exist between two human beings. It's not.
Let me bring this around to this then, because we talked about this on the show, that you had admitted to, and this is not my question, so I'm gonna intertwine 2 questions because you spoke of this. You said that it was 10 years that you faked an orgasm. And so for me, I would feel like that's sweeping something under the rug here, because you not only was faking it and lying to your partner, but to yourself as well. And so where do you put that at? Because now as it came around, we know and we see that you all have weathered the storm, but what was that for you?
Well, I wasn't lying to myself because I knew that I wasn't having an orgasm. So I was very well aware, but you have to put it in perspective. I lost my virginity to him after we were together for 1 year. We've been together. I was 15 and he was 16. So when we talk about for 10 years, it is a sensational headline, but for perspective, we're talking about the years between maybe 16 and maybe 25. So
you didn't even know what orgasm was.
As a woman yourself.
Well,
you might not even know what it was at that time.
I didn't know what it was. I didn't have an orgasm through sexual intercourse. I had orgasms other ways.
Right.
He had other ways that he found that he pleased me, that he was successful, but maybe around, I think the age of 25 was when something happened and I told him.
I think, you know,
my real question,
sensational headline. And it was because they don't read the next part of it was, you said you didn't know your body. And that makes perfect sense because who was really knowing their body at that age and who could even communicate that at the time? And most of us have mostly only had orgasms through, you know.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. But that
it's very hard for most women in general. It's very hard for most women in general to have vaginal orgasms. It's just this is not like this is not something that is just unheard of. This happens a lot. A lot of women don't get vaginal. It's hard.
Exactly.
Depends on the G spot where it's sitting.
I think that you guys are going to give so much information because I can stay right here on this topic right here alone, but it also educates people and let them know it's okay. It's all right. But the second part of my question is that in a recent interview as well, you said that God intervened in you guys' relationship with sending your best friend and R&B singer crooner Tyrese came and they helped you weather this storm. So, you know, how did they help you save your marriage?
Okay, so Rashid, my best friend, he was the only person in our lives that didn't champion our marriage, our relationship altogether. He saw Rashawn's controlling ways and jealous ways as red flags. And in private, he would say to me, this might be something that you want to reconsider. So when I found out about the infidelity and divorce was imminent, it wasn't even on the table. It was assured. I had hired an attorney. I had already paid an attorney. He knew, our family knew, his mother knew, my children knew. We weren't playing any games. We had it was a bad day. Rashawn was struggling with his mental health that day. And it got to a point where he wanted to commit suicide.
Speaking of that, I want to have DJ Envy answer that. Like you just said, you had suicidal thoughts when your beautiful wife was like, I'm done and I'm done for real. What was your mental state right there? Why did you think that you wanted to commit suicide?
And it's crazy because as a kid growing up, when you hear somebody's committing suicide or thinking about it, you think that they're weak, right? You think that they're selfish, you think that they're soft. That's what we were made to think as a child when I was growing up. But then when I got to that point, I understand it's more than that. And that's part of the reason we wrote in the book to start those conversations. And it was I felt like I would be better not here for my wife and for my family because I failed, because I wasn't disciplined. And I didn't want to be here anymore. And I remember going in the garage, I turned on all the cars and I held the garage door so she couldn't get in. And Rashid called her and it just called during that moment and said, what's going on? She told him, so he called me. And I don't even remember. I don't even remember what we said, but he called her back and was like, call the police now. The person I spoke to is not Rashawn. That does not sound like Rashawn. Call the police came, opened up the garage, and they put me in an ambulance, took me to the hospital. And he's from LA. So he left LA. He's an attorney, came for like 12 days.
Hours after he got off of the phone with Rashawn, he went to his office and said, I need to take an emergency leave of absence. I don't know when I will be back. literally
That's
went
a good friend. That's a good friend.
hopped on a flight, flew here and stayed here for maybe about 12 days. And he's a very, very spiritual person. At the time, he was in theology school as well. And when I asked him why he was here, he told me that God sent him here. And I
Wow.
That's a blessing.
Well,
You know?
Real talk.
said,
let's take a quick commercial break. We want to keep you guys on for another segment. I want to ask you a question. You can think about it during the commercial break. I want to ask you guys, you two as a couple, has it helped you or hurt you to confront your issues being in the public eye? Has it been beneficial or more damaging? Because I know sometimes publicly you get forced, right? Let's take a quick commercial break and marinate, and we'll come back with more with these two amazing people when we come back.